the creative spark behind every great idea. Today we are presenting to you our marketing campaign for Traceway Retirement Community. I'm Riley Fitzgerald.
I'm Haley Pierce.
I'm Lynn Bell.
And I'm Kendall Miller.
Tell us where you guys are from town.
I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Atlanta, Georgia.
Silver Spring, Maryland. Phoenix, Arizona.
Our objective for this campaign is to create a bigger brand awareness for Traceway and the surrounding areas. They're one of the only, as y'all know, the continuing care retirement communities within like a 50-mile radius in North Mississippi. And our campaign goal is to create value for y'all when building brand awareness. By doing this, we have two separate target audiences. Our first is the child, and this is a middle-aged woman ages 40 to 55. And this is typically who becomes responsible for finding a place for their parents when looking for different options when something arises, whether it's health or mentally when it comes to Alzheimer's or dementia. And then our other target audience is the elder spouse, and they're capable of taking care of themselves, but not necessarily taking care of all their spouse's needs.
So for primary research, we conducted 2 surveys through Facebook. We decided to use Facebook because we were directing these surveys towards our first target audience of the child, and women between the ages of 40 to 55 are shown to use Facebook the most. So we found that about 68% of respondents find it to be their responsibility to find the retirement home for their parents, and then 46.4% find this task to be very stressful. And then also 47% think that social activities are important for their parents' well-being. 94% think or worry about how the employees and nurses may treat their parents, and then 58% said that on-site pharmacy and rehab facility are a must. We also interviewed the activities coordinator at Brook Grove Retirement Center in Olney, Maryland. And we decided to interview her because she gets the unbiased opinions from the elders and through events, their families, because they're doing things that they love, which would be different than like through a nurse or just another employee. She told us that how the nurses treat their parents and how is one of the biggest concerns that they have. And I talked to her about the Eden alternative of eliminating loneliness, helplessness, and boredom, and she said that that's one of their biggest concerns as well. And then finally, she explained to me that they also have on-site rehab facility and pharmacy. And this is a big selling point for them because of stability, because the elder will never have to leave unless there's a dire emergency to go to the hospital.
When it came to secondary research, we had the opportunity to look and analyze the Holler & Group community report. After analyzing this, we took away that there are 4 pillars that Traceway really strives to focus on, which are voice, connection, fulfillment, and well-being. Voice being that we know that you want the elders to feel like they are heard and that they have a say in what goes on in the community, whether they have something that's not to their liking or they would like to see something like, say, a craft or something implemented that brings them joy. We know that you want them to feel like they're heard. Next is the pillar of connection, which is connecting elders to one another and elders to their family members and people that might not be living at Traceway. We realize that not everyone they know is going to be on Traceway's facility, and that we want to focus on fostering the connection with the outside of the campus. Fulfillment works to foster that the elders can continue doing things that they love and things that bring them joy. Just because they're moving from outside where they've grown up and were adults to a community center, we don't want them to feel like they don't get to do things that bring them joy, whether it's cooking and baking or playing games or literally whatever. We want to make sure that they feel like they can still do those things at Traceway. And finally, well-being is focusing on the physical and mental health of the elders, where that comes into play for the on-site pharmacy and the physical therapy. The second part of our secondary research, we wanted to do a closer examination of caregiver statistics because we realized that that is a huge part of growing older. 34.2 million Americans are currently serving as primary caregiver to someone over 50 years old. 15.7 million are caregivers for someone suffering from Alzheimer's or another form of dementia. And on average, these caregivers are spending 13 days a month doing menial tasks such as shopping, cooking, laundry, transportation, and giving medicine, which is obviously a lot of time. From both the primary and secondary research, we have three main takeaways. Our first was that we tried to build our whole campaign around the pillar of connection. We realize that you guys think very highly of connection, and we think that that is a really important part of Traceway's mission. So we want to focus on our whole campaign around fostering a connection of the loved ones and the elders with one another. We also realize that this is a very overwhelming and stressful time in an elder's life. We want to make sure that our campaign involves the entire family and everyone that the elder is connected to. We don't want to feel like anyone and a part of their family or their lives in general feels neglected throughout this aging process.
When we analyzed Traceway, we found some strengths that we should build on in the campaign. One of them is the living situation at Traceway, because it offers anything from 24-hour care to independent living. And no matter what your need is, once you're in Traceway, you can stay. So if your needs increase or you need a different kind of living situation, you can move throughout Traceway. Also, the greenhouses and shabazas are something really unique to Traceway that just fosters off the Eden alternative of getting rid of boredom, loneliness, and helplessness, because it gives them a sense of community, allows them to be together, or allows them to have their independence when they want it, and that's something that we should really show the public. As well as the on-campus amenities such as the memory care for dementia and Alzheimer's. People want to know that their loved ones are not only being cared for, but they're trying to improve them. And the things like the on-site pharmacy and transportation is very important. For weaknesses, Traceway has low awareness, so not many people know about all the unique things that Traceway has to offer, but this is also an opportunity as well to build on. And there's a very specific target audience. Sometimes it's harder to reach people, older people, through digital media, so we have to really focus on traditional media and trying to reach them, but also updating the advertising through the digital, such as updating the website or the social media to fit the target audience of the child better and reach them more accurately. Some opportunities is the unique services such as the memory care and physical therapy to build on and emphasize throughout the campaign. People are always going to be aging, so there's always going to be a need for Traceway, and there's always going to be an industry for Traceway to compete in. And there's large room for growth because of this low brand awareness. Some threats would be the job position of the Shabazz. It's very specific, so if the job position isn't filled or someone has to leave the job position and they can't have someone come fill the space, this might leave elders in a position where they're not getting the attention and care that they deserve and need, as well as other retirement communities in the area that might offer lower pricing, such as Avonlea, Rosewood, and Magnolia. But through these insights in our target audience, we have figured out what they need and want from a retirement community. The target audience of the child feels that they are responsible for finding their parents a place, and they know that's stressful and scary, and it can be very emotional, but Traceway can make it easier and allow for those things to not be so relevant. And the needs of the elders, they want a sense of community, they want to engage with each other and with people outside of Traceway. They don't even want to feel like they're in a retirement home, they just feel like they're at a community in Traceway, and we want to really show people about that part of Traceway. And that's why we created our single-minded proposition, covering their every need so you can focus on loving them. Picking a retirement home is scary, it's emotional, it's hard, but Traceway can make that easier for you. And when you're distracted and thinking about all the things that could be happening or how your loved one is being treated in a retirement home, it can distract you from giving them the attention and love that they need. But because Traceway can solve all of these problems, it will give you that time to spend with your elder and spend meaningful time with them and love them the way they need and deserve.
Our entire media plan is focused around our SMP of love and connection. So the first part of our media plan, we would recommend implementing a 3-part billboard series. This would consist of 3 medium billboards. We realize that this is a really costly advertisement, coming in around $19,000. Which is why we only recommend doing it for an 8-month trial period. We think that that's a more than adequate enough amount of time to be able to see how well the billboards do with advertising. This series of billboards, we recommend displaying them on Main Street for a couple of reasons. First, it's really a heavy trafficked area because it has a lot of establishments, such as there's Walmart and multiple churches, many schools. So we think that would be a really great place to start and see how it takes off. So the whole series consists of the same tagline, Traceway gives me time for that. And that's playing off of our S&P that we focus on loving them, giving them time in whatever that you personally feel is loving on your elder. Our first billboard says, I want to listen to her tell stories about her favorite memories. The second one in the series is, I want to watch my dad play ball with his grandson. And finally, I want to take my dad to his favorite garden. Traceway gives me time for that. We feel like this is a really great projection of Traceway's love and care that they want to foster connections and relationships with families and friends. And we think that depending on how well the billboard series does, you could continue this same sort of logo and brand awareness through Traceway Gives Me Time for That.
For a magazine ad, we wanted to stick to the emotional appeal because choosing a retirement home is very emotional, and we think that this creative would really click with the target audiences. It says, sometimes things happen that are out of your control. When these things happen, Traceway's here to help. And then it states our S&P and a call to action to visit or call. We suggest putting this ad in Invitation Tupelo, which is published by Invitation Oxford. It has a very large circulation in Tupelo, and it reaches both of the target audiences that we are trying to get this ad to. We would recommend doing a full-page 10-issue ad, which would be just over $1,000.
We also think that you should do a newspaper ad. That would be about an eighth of the page. As you can see, the S&P is front and center. And then there's a photo of an elder with her child, and which is just reiterates the fact that we want to take all the issues away so they can focus on loving their parents. Here is, you can see there's a call to action so they can go and call Traceway. We think it should be in the Daily Journal Tupelo because it has the most circulation in the Tupelo area. It should be ran for 12 weeks and published 3 to 5 times a week.
Up next, we have more traditional media, and this is just a brochure. Currently, Traceway has a couple different types of brochures out there, and when you go to look at them, they're a little bit overwhelming. And so this would be like the first one that you could give a potential client, and it's just clean and concise. It has our new S&P right on the front, so they can see that's the first thing that's really important to Traceway. And then the back is all the information on how to call and get in contact with Traceway. And then when you open up to the middle, it has the 4 different types of living on the Traceway campus, so it's just clean, concise, and it has the amenities and services that are available in each one. And we're going to print 4,000 copies, and it's going to be around $715. And these brochures will be placed throughout different areas in the community, such as churches, schools where they might hold grandparents' days, and community centers.
For direct mail, we recommend making a postcard. As you can see, it's very similar to the billboard series, which we think will tie the media plan together. This says, I want her to make memories with her granddaughter. Traceway gives me time for that. And then on the back, there's an invitation to an open house at Traceway. We think this is a great way for people in the Tupelo community to come and tour the campus and sit through an informational meeting about all that Traceway has to offer. And then we think that you need to update your Facebook page. Right when they go to Facebook, people should see elders with their families, having fun, events. And then also Facebook has the ability to boost posts to be advertised to really get the right demographics and reach the target audiences. We recommend about 2 posts a week, each boosted at $20. This will be about $2,000 for the year. There you can see an example of an advertisement that is inviting people to the open house. And then also right now, the Twitter page is simply links to posts from the Facebook page. And since they're different platforms, they need to be treated differently. So we recommend that there be a constant flow of elders at events with their families, enjoying themselves, testimonials from them, interviews with their families from them, anything to get people really interested in Traceway.
The final part of our media plan involved us looking at the current Traceway website and the layout. When we looked at it, we realized that there was a little bit of a disconnect between really displaying all the great parts of Traceway and for people to get a really good idea of what it would be like to actually be on your guys' campus, because it is so incredible. We as a team would highly recommend hiring an outside company such as Envision, who will come in and film for $1,000 or a little bit more, depending on how many different rooms or living facilities that you guys want to show. And as you can see, like Brent is doing, this is really cool, and a lot of the competition does something like this. And maybe someone who can't come all the way out to your facility, they can go online and they can get a real life virtual feel for what it would really be like to live in any of your facilities. And we think that implementing something like this and taking the time and money to do it would really put you ahead of the competition.
So this is just the overall breakdown of our total media plan, and it all equals out to about $30,000, which is right within Traceway's budget.
To evaluate the marketing campaign, we recommend looking at return on investment and customer response. So first, we can count the attendance at the open house, and while they are there, you can give them a short survey asking how they found out about the event, whether it be the Facebook post or the postcard. And then a certain amount of brochures should be placed at community centers and churches throughout the Tupelo area. A few weeks later, you could go back and see how many are left, and that will really show you which places are most effective to put them. And then the activity increase from Facebook and Twitter could also be measured. And then finally, when people move into Traceway, or when they're putting on the wait list, a survey could be sent out with all the different forms of media, and they can choose which one sent them to Traceway.
Through our campaign, we really want to implement in the minds of our target audience the brand of Traceway Retirement Community. We want to show people that because of Traceway, choosing a retirement home doesn't have to be scary or stressful or emotional, because they know at Traceway their elder and their loved one is going to really feel a sense of community, they're going to be loved and taken care of, and that Traceway is going to cover their every need so that they can really focus on spending genuine quality time with their loved one.
Market research, how many respondents or responses did you have to your survey?
We had 90 altogether.
90?
Mhm.
And then tell me about your research to get to the point of spending 2/3 of your budget on billboards.
I think that a lot of that came from the fact that when we received the feedback from the Facebook surveys, we gave like an ample amount of space for these people to write, and most of them were women, and they felt very passionately and very emotionally about where their loved one was going. And we just felt like we felt like the billboards was the best way to broadcast on a large spectrum what an emotional appeal would be. That kind of answers your question.
I had a question on your invitation ad. You put down that it was only $1,000 a month, basically, and so was that just for 1 month? Because you had down $1,050, and it was supposed to be a 10-month issue. So actually, for that price,
For the whole 10 months, for the full page 10 issue ad, it's just $1,050.
per issue.
No, just total.
Okay, I need to talk to your sales rep then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question. Is Envision included in the $1,000 for the website?
Yeah, it is. When I talked to them, they wanted to know very logistically square footage. $1,000 will get you the basic package for it. Obviously, you can do a lot more of that. Obviously, if you're doing the whole campus, it will be much more expensive than that. But for $1,000, you can get a pretty decent amount of square footage, or say like one room or one space covered.
I'm positive y'all blew us away with the emotional tag. So that was a good tag. So, very good. Very good.
Great, we campaign.